Sicario doesn't treat guns like heroic tools. They're picked like instruments, quiet, practical, and final. The first one shows up at distance. An FBI team member sets up Overwatch with a Remington 700 PSS, and the tone is set immediately. The 700 PSS is a bolt-action rifle usually chambered in .308 Winchester or .762 NATO, and PSS means Police Sniper System. The thick barrel stays accurate even when it heats up, and the manual bolt keeps things predictable instead of relying on automatic cycling. The Model 700 has been trusted by police and military for decades. From there, at the front door of the first raid, a much shorter weapon takes over, and what matters is how common this .5.56 carbine looks in everyone's hands. Kate uses an M4A1 in the opening house raid, which is basically the standard modern US carbine. The M4 shoots 5.56 by 45 NATO rounds through a gas-operated AR system with a short barrel. And the A1 version means it can fire full auto instead of the older 3-round burst. It uses standard Stanag magazines, usually holding 30 rounds. The flat top and rail system make it easy to attach lights and other gear without changing the basic rifle. This leads to traffic jam fighting, where a different gun appears, one known for smooth handling despite firing 9mm. Alejandro uses a Heckler & Koch MP5A3 against the cartel, and this gun has a legendary reputation. The MP5 uses H&K's roller-delayed blowback system, which makes it much easier to control when firing 9x19mm compared to simpler submachine guns. The A3 has a folding stock, so it can be compact for movement or extended for shouldered shooting. It takes the famous curved 30-round magazines, and the design dates back to the 1960s, when special units wanted compact 9mm guns that didn't jump around. A cartel member also has one with a built-in flashlight on the front, the kind of integrated light people associate with surefire setups, making it ready for close quarters work. Soon after, in vehicles and holsters, a smaller gun appears, the compact 9mm everyone relies on. Kate uses her Glock 19 when a corrupt cop tries to shoot her, and it's the mid-size 9mm that became the standard for good reason. The Glock 19 has a striker-fired trigger and polymer frame, usually holding 15 rounds in its magazine, which hits the sweet spot between full-size duty guns and smaller concealed carry pistols. The smooth slide and no external hammer keep it from catching on things, and the consistent trigger is why so many police departments chose Glock. The 19 has a grip big enough to control without being bulky on your belt, which is why you see it everywhere from uniformed cops to undercover work. Later, a longer rifle appears, looking like a tougher AR with serious rails. Matt Graver carries a Daniel Defense carbine as his main rifle, and that brand means a modern, high-quality AR. Daniel Defense makes cold hammer-forged barrels and tough, free-floating handguards, parts meant to stay straight and stable when the gun gets knocked around. It still shoots 5.56 by 45 NATO with standard AR magazines and the same basic controls, but focuses on durability in the parts that take the most beating. A free-floating handguard matters because it doesn't touch the barrel, which helps the gun stay accurate no matter how you hold or brace it. When the story moves to a house about to turn violent, a completely different kind of gun shows up. A modern Kalashnikov in 7.62 by 39 with plastic furniture. At Silvio's house, an AK-103 appears, instantly showing a different supply chain and philosophy. The AK-103 is part of the AK-100 series, a modernized Kalashnikov line that keeps the same basic system but updates the furniture to polymer and more modern stock options. It fires 7.62 by 39 mm, which uses a heavier bullet than 5.56, and that's why people say the platform hits hard up close. The AK-100 family is basically a newer version of the classic AK design, still built for toughness and simplicity. In the house, it's a clear reminder that not everyone is using the same equipment. As tension builds into the next scene, a familiar pistol appears, the full-size version with the classic 17-round capacity. Alejandro uses a Glock 17 when he shows he's in control, and it's the original full-size Glock design. The Glock 17 has a striker-fired trigger and polymer frame, built as a service pistol from the start, and its 17-round magazine became the standard for modern duty guns. Compared to the Glock 19, the longer grip gives you more to hold onto, and the longer slide adds a bit more sight length, which is why it was used by agencies for decades. Mechanically, it's the same basic Glock system. Simple, reliable, striker-fired, just stretched to service size. As gear changes and an uncommon sidearm appears, something shows up that looks normal until you notice the weird caliber. Manuel Diaz grabs an FN57, which stands out because it shoots 5.7 times 28 mm. The 5.7 has a polymer frame with a hammer-fired trigger, and it's famous for holding a lot of ammo, usually 20 rounds in a standard magazine. The 5.7 cartridge is narrower and faster than most pistol rounds, and the gun was designed to work with FN's broader 5.7 system that includes the P90. The whole 5.7 idea is about lightweight, high-capacity handguns that feel different from traditional duty guns. When they reach the final up-close confrontation, another pistol appears that's famous for being huge, built for special operations requirements. Alejandro uses a Heckler & Koch Mark 23 late in the film, and it's the opposite of an everyday carry gun. The Mark 23 was made for U.S. SOCOM's Special Operations Program, chambered in .45 ACP, and built with reliability and accuracy as top priorities. It has a recoil-operated hammer-fired trigger with a manual safety and usually holds 12 rounds. Big numbers for a .45, but the gun is big enough to handle it. One detail people always mention is the match-grade barrel with an O-ring at the front to improve accuracy, a very precision-focused feature. It was also designed from the start to work with suppressors and laser modules, which is why it feels like a specialized tool, not a convenience item. And when it finally shows up, there's only one question left. What does this choice say compared to everything before it? The Mark 23 is saved for the end because it makes a statement. The Remington 700 PSS starts with controlled, measured precision, and the M4A1 house raid shows the team's standard setup. Then, the AK-103 at Silvio's house brings modern Kalashnikov power, and the 5.7 shows that unusual high-capacity option. The Mark 23 tops them all by being purpose-built for one job. A big .45 designed for suppressed shooting and accuracy, not comfort or everyday carry. It's the least normal handgun on the list, so it lands like a final, deliberate choice.